Good evening, everyone. It is February the 18th, year 2025. It looks like I'm having a little bit of a streaming issue here because, oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, I popped up now. So welcome, everyone, for coming in here tonight, February 18th, 2025. We have the White House saying that some major changes are about to take place, and they're saying that the world is not ready for them. Now, that's a pretty big thing to warn the entire country about. We have to watch out for that. We also have Kash Patel advancing in his position. We have a lot of fraud and corruption coming out into the open. My name is Brad. I'm here with Full Spectrum Survival. We are bringing you a live show of current events, news, and information, the headlines from America and from around the world. We kind of pride ourselves every day on bringing you the information that you need to know so that you don't have to doom scroll for 8 hours and you can see what's happening in the world. If you're just popping in for the live show, please go ahead and, as many people are, let us know where you're coming in from. From me, upper end of Alabama, the southern end of the Appalachian Trail. We're watching America from the south, but that doesn't mean that things aren't changing as quickly in the north. We're kind of watching all of what's happening here close to the Gulf of America. Well, thank you guys for being here. Let's look at what the White House said. The White House Post has said that the world is not ready for what is about to happen. Now, we do have Donald Trump making a similar claim in the last couple of days. We have Elon Musk saying that you're going to basically be blown out of the water by the information that comes out in regard to what's happening with Fort Knox, what's happening with the Federal Reserve, what we're about to see with the IRS. There's just so much. And, there's so much focus that's been on USAID that they're not even starting to pick apart really what's going on, because the corruption does not stop there. The corruption really goes all the way through all of the White House, all of government, and it's going to bite us in the rear end. Here's Caroline Leavitt. Now, this is the White House press sec. We have her talking about Doge. I have to turn this around so that we can capture it because it's already been published, but let's listen to what she has to say.
Fighting fake news reporters all day long here in the Washington, D.C. swamp, who are trying to fearmonger the American people into believing that this administration is going after their hard-earned tax dollars and their hard-earned Social Security checks. So I want to set the record straight on your show tonight, Sean, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do so. President Trump has directed Elon Musk and the Doge team to identify fraud at the Social Security Administration. They haven't dug into the books yet, but they suspect that there are tens of millions of deceased people who are receiving fraudulent Social Security payments. And so their goal in going into the Social Security Administration is to identify three things. Number one, to identify duplicate payments and to end them. Number two, to identify payments that are going to deceased people who are no longer living and should no longer be receiving.
So they're talking about all of the duplicate fraud that is happening. Now, it's real easy in our day and age to find dupes, right? A simple program can find a duplicate. In fact, let's see if Grok could write us a little program here to find a duplicate real quick. Using the Python programming language, because I know Python, so I can tell you if it's working or not. Write me a simple program that finds duplicates, let's just say in phone numbers. Let's see what it has to say. Oh, that was a post. Okay. All right. Good job, Brad. Good job. Okay. Well, you guys got to see that. This is live. We're not changing anything here. Let's see if we can delete that. Let's go into Grok, which is where we're supposed to be. All right. What does Grok have to say about it? All right. So here's the program. Grok, an AI chatbot, just did it within a couple of seconds. This is the definition for find duplicates. For every number in phone numbers, if the number is already seen and it's telling you to add these in here, or else it's not, return the list of duplicates. So here's the example. You've got phone numbers, and it shows the example numbers, and then duplicates, and if duplicates, print duplicate phone number found. So it's telling you right here, if it found a duplicate, to print the phone number that was a duplicate, or else print nothing. Now, that's a very, very simple program, right? And it took me 10 seconds with a screw up to write it. Now, to believe that our Social Security Administration and our federal government doesn't know how to do this is beyond my imagination. Thank you so much, Red Hot Gaming. Thanks, Brad, for all your hard work and for the family. $10 super chat there. Thanks so much, Red Hot. And I saw Derek asking earlier if me and the family were good. Yeah, I just took my oldest son. He had some stuff to do in town today. So after he finished his chores, we went and did that. And I want to thank him. His name's Zach, and he just put out a video in coordination with me about advanced, safety when going out in public. And we didn't do our normal title. We didn't put my face on it. It's kind of more of a legacy video that we want people who maybe don't even want to understand how bad things really are to be able to look at it and say, oh, okay, well, maybe I could use this and be safer in public. Things like situational awareness, knowing what to look out for. Kind of simple, but at the same time, more advanced measures. Nemesis Broadcast System. Thank you so much. 1999 Super Chat. Good evening, Brad. Thank you. No, thank you guys for the support of our family there. So here, Grok, Twitter's form of AI, just wrote a program on how to find a duplicate in numbers. Now, of course, I told it phone numbers, but it's just as easy to do it with Social Security numbers. And the government could be doing this all day, every day. Now, here is Caroline Lovett.
I've been fighting fake news reporters all day long here in the Washington, D.C. swamp who are trying to fearmonger the American people into believing that this administration is going after their hard-earned tax dollars.
Now, what they're talking about right now, and I think we just came back from a little blip in connectivity. What they're talking about is how everybody is so mad that Donald Trump and Elon Musk is finding this fraud, but nobody's mad at the fraud. And so how is it that our society is so focused in on the people finding the fraud that they're not even considering just how bad it is that we have operated a government on this level, that you've seen that kind of behavior for this long?
Money being spent, right? Let's go into...
Here's Donald Trump talking about some of the corruption and the fraud that has been spent over the last couple of decades. Of course, this goes back in his old presidency, and I don't want anyone watching this to even think for a second that I'm forgiving that this was happening back in Donald Trump's first presidency, or Bush, or Clinton, or Obama, or all of the ones before that. What matters is that we stop it right now.
Where's the money being spent, right? Let's go into that for just a second. $520 million for a consultant on the environment. It's called Environmental, Social, and Governance Investments in Africa, and mobilize private sector resources. $520 million. Somebody got $520 million for an environmental, sounds like an environmental study. That's the most, I've always been one that paid a lot of money for my environmental studies, but they, I paid like $50,000, not $520 million.
I just love how Trump he finds any opportunity to throw a little bit of shade, whether it's, oh, is that person even alive because I don't even know of them anymore, or is the Post even really a news organization? He throws that shade out there anywhere that he can, like he is right now, where he's saying basically, this is corruption. You don't need an environmental study with $520 million.
$520 million for ESG. $25 million to promote biodiversity, conservation, and promote licit livelihoods by developing socially responsible behavior in the country of Colombia. Well,
okay, so let's ask Grok again, okay? So if I wanted to develop a program that disseminates socially responsible information, how can I do that with 10 grand and social media outreach? Okay, let's just say somebody gave you 10 grand, right? And they were like, okay, you're gonna use this money and social media, so maybe you'll have to pay a couple of social media influencers or something. How would you do that with 10 grand? Well, here with 10 grand, you would define your mission and goals, and let's not forget that they're getting 20 million to do this. We're talking about 10,000, and let's boil it down. Could this all be done with $100? And volunteer work, or existing government work. Okay, so the answer, with only $100 and relying heavily on volunteer and government work, your approach would need to be extremely lean and strategic. Content creation, writers and researchers, DIY tools, a platform like social media, X, Instagram, or others, blogging, vlogging, engagement, distribution, budget. So you can do it on just that much money. But if you had 10 grand, you could do this much. Now remember, we're giving them $20 million.
Nice, 25 for ESG. $25 million to promote biodiversity, conservation, and promote licit livelihoods by developing socially responsible behavior in the country of Colombia. Wow.
And this isn't even going to, now remember, USAID was supposed to do things with your tax money in other countries, but instead what happened is they would take your tax money, and if I'm the government, I would create a company over in Colombia, and I would take your tax money, and instead of me just holding it forever, I would say, here you go, company that I created in Colombia. And so I would be stealing your money to give it to myself in Colombia, and then pay some, I would grease some palms and then get that money back to me here in America. Plus maybe, a house in Colombia, maybe a brand new boat, maybe some gifting. Maybe I could send my wife and kids on some sort of extravagant, vacations. That's what they did with your money.
That's nice. $25 million going to Colombia for something that nobody ever heard of. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. $40 million.
Very true.
$42 million for Johns Hopkins, great place, to research and drive social and behavior change in Uganda. $42 million. What about us? What about social change in our country? $70 million for a center at Purdue to research university-sourced, evidence-based solutions to developmental challenges. I mean, these are massive numbers on things that nobody ever heard about. $10 million for Mozambique voluntary medical male circumcisions.
I'm glad we're giving, your tax money is, instead of paying for some sick citizen here in the country to get some sort of health procedure, it's a good thing we're paying millions of dollars in Mozambique for them to, do a little snippy snip. This is ridiculous.
$10 million for circumcisions in another country. $9.7 million for UC Berkeley to develop a cohort of Cambodian youth with enterprise-driven skills. In other words, let's teach them something about enterprise. What about our people?
Now listen to that again.
Cambodian youth, UC Berkeley to develop male circumcisions. $10 million for circumcisions in another country. $9.7 million for UC Berkeley to develop a cohort.
So $10 million, basically, hey, on an even keel, $10 million they gave UC Berkeley, so a university, to develop a cohort of people. Do you know what those words mean? If you're developing a cohort of people, that just means you're giving somebody $10 million to get a list of volunteers. That's literally all you're doing. You're getting $10 million to get a list of volunteers in another country. This is slap in our face fraud.
$10 million for circumcisions in another country. $9.7 million for UC Berkeley to develop a cohort of Cambodian youth with enterprise-driven skills. In other words, let's teach them something about enterprise. What about our people? Can't we teach them about enterprise?
They don't want to teach our
$2.3
people
million for
anything.
strengthening independent voices in Cambodia. $32 million to the Prague Civil Society Center, which is a very liberal group of people. Wonder how much of that money came back to the people that approved it.
That's the thing, is we're not seeing the arrests happen. And until they start happening, and maybe they can't yet, right? Because all of these things were legal, just fraud and corruption. It's kind of like taxation. And it's kind of like, different parts of our government and the way that we operate with certain things. They're not right, but they're legal in the terms that they operate within, the universe that they operate within. So maybe that's what needs to change, is now it's out in the open. And the next person that does it and gets caught, gets held accountable. But I don't see that yet. That's kind of startling to me, because now we're doing a witch hunt where you never really burn any witches, right? We're doing a fact-finding mission where you never really make any change. So now I'm getting a little concerned there.
$14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. $486 million to the Consortium for Elections and Political Process Strengthening, including $22 million for inclusive and participatory political process in Moldova, and $21 million for voter turnout in India. Well, why are we giving $21 million to India? They got a lot of money there.
For voter turnout. So do you think the Indian people, the people of India, are not voting? And so somehow your $20 million is going to make them vote? Guys, this is as corrupt as it gets. Greg L., thank you so much for the super chat. This is the third super on a live stream. What I'm interested in seeing is how deep the rabbit holes go. Will they name the names, and what will be done about it? Talk about draining the swamp. Yeah, that's what we need to see, is actual accountability. So we need to see that this organization was actually tied to this entity, which is operated by this person, and they have a little bit, but it's been a long political witch hunt, like Chelsea Clinton. Okay, well, she was operating under some USAID stuff. Definitely she was getting a lot of money every single year, and all of the presidents do. How do they make 400 grand a year, and 10 years from now their growth and wealth is just continuing and continuing? Now, of course, they do a concert or whatever, and they speak out at some university and they pay them 10 mil. Yeah, of course, but it's happening because they're heading up these organizations that they're funneling your tax money through. And I guess that's what they get sold on. That's probably why they want to be be a president, or a senator, or a congressperson.
Taxing countries in the world in terms of us, we can hardly get in there because their tariffs are so high. I have a lot of respect for India. I have a lot of respect for the Prime Minister. He just left, as you know, 2 days ago. But we're giving $21 million for voter turnout. It's voter turnout in India. What about, like, voter turnout here? Oh, we've done that, I guess. We did $500 million, didn't we? It's called the lockboxes. $20 million for fiscal federalism in Nepal. Listen to these numbers. This is all fraud.
There we go. Now him actually saying it, that's an important step. We have to actually call it for what it is. Because for me to call it fraud, for you to call it fraud, and for us to know it's corrupt is one thing. That's like saying, oh, the cops are dirty. You can say it all day long, but until there's accountability, it doesn't mean anything. So his words right there should have resonance.
$20 million for fiscal federalism in Nepal. Listen to these numbers. This is all fraud. $19 million for biodiversity conservation.
Thanks, Greg. We have such a great family.
$1.5 million for voter confidence. We want to give them confidence. In Liberia, $14 million for social cohesion in Mali. $2.5 million.
How much was that?
Social cohesion, voter confidence. We want to give them
it's
confidence.
Theft, that's right.
In Liberia, $14 million for social cohesion.
$14 million for social cohesion. That's such a blanketed term, it could mean anything. Because social, so you've got a group of people, right? Cohesion, meaning togetherness. So what they do with your $14 million in tax money can be absolute. They could print out some pamphlets, get some volunteers to take them to organizations, do a couple of social media posts, and at the end of the day, it costs them $500. Where does that other $13.95 million go? Into the pocketbooks of the corrupt suckers that did it. That's where the money goes.
In Mali, $2.5 million for inclusive democracies in South Africa. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well. They're doing a lot better than we do in the schools, aren't they?
True.
$2 million to develop sustainable...
Actually, China is teaching their children how to handle, how to repair in some cases, and how to operate safely a self-defense tool, a kinetic projectile self-defense tool, the same things that the cops wear on their waist. So why is it that Asia is teaching their kids how to defend themselves and getting them ready for a coming war, but here in America, we're still fighting about what bathroom is which? Priorities. Yeah, and I don't know about you, but if you've ever seen a company whose priorities are already wrong and then the company is failing and everyone's like, yeah, of course you're failing. Look at what you're doing. You suck. This is what America has been like. It's no question why we are where we are today, because we have sucked. And we have sucked at being together as a country. We have sucked at the way that we have operated. We've sucked at what we've done with the money. We've sucked at basically everything, our responses to problems and the direction that we've been going. But we have a chance, and I think that this is our last chance, because I love what America has the chance of being, what the vision of like what Trump wants it to be, or what we have politicians out there who actually want a good America. That's what I want. So we're kind of like at this system, right, or at this point in time right now, where we're watching. And you know how when you watch like, I don't know, I guess the best description is like when you watch those people standing around like the race cars, where they're like the street races, where they're just going in circles, and you're like, oh man, these people, somebody's going to get hit. So I hope it's not me. Somebody's going to get hit. That's kind of where we're at. And if we don't do this right now and make a change, it's really bad. And we have nothing but civil war in our future. We have nothing but total unrest in our future. And we have nothing but a complete dropping of America off the face of the earth, because we will become a third world country.
Cycling models to increase
the last
socioeconomic
hoorah is
cohesion among marginalized communities in Kosovo and Escali.
Hey, Texas.
And in Egypt.
Martin.
We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. I could. By the way,
Climax change.
I could read this all day.
Of staff for policy. Stephen, thank you so much for taking time for us. So who is in charge of Doge?
The President of the United States.
He's the administrator of Doge?
Well, no,
Doge is what was formerly U.S. Digital Services. It's an agency of the federal government that reports into the executive office of the president, which reports to the President of the United States.
Okay.
The way that Article 2 works is the president wins an election, and then he appoints staff, including myself, including Mike Waltz, including Susie Wiles, including Elon Musk, and those staff report to him.
Okay, well aware. So Elon Musk a week ago answered a question about transparency.
The guy on your left. Now, who is this? This is Stephen Miller. He's basically caught this CNN rep out here in the open saying, you know, I just he handed it to her. He said, here's the answer to all your questions. You're not going to like it because you're going to want to discredit the Department of Government Efficiency, because she's being told what to say. Does she believe these words? No. She's being told what to say because it's her job. And if she doesn't do these things, her mortgage doesn't get paid. And her kids don't have insurance if she has any. And her cars get repossessed. And she'll end up on the streets because that's the way our system works. We have like soft servitude in this country where you don't get beat with a whip. You don't get smacked around. No, instead, the pimp is the government, and the pimp is going to tell you what to do. And you're going to do it or you'll be back out on the street. And so she's doing what she's told to do to try to discredit the Department of Government Efficiency. They're trying to discredit Donald Trump, discredit Elon Musk. Nobody's complaining about that. George Soros did the exact same thing Musk is doing, and he provided influence with money. Nobody's complaining that Obama and Clinton and Hillary Clinton and Biden and everybody they all said the same thing. They all said, we need to get rid of government waste. We need to cut down this waste. But none of them did a darn thing about it. And so now that it's happening, and it's their little hedge funds, and it's their little project companies, and their little made up and fake companies in other countries, now that it's them that are getting targeted and the funding is stopping, now they're all like, hold on a second. Now you need to not be doing this. They're afraid because their money tree is dying. And when your money tree dies, all you have left is power. And if you don't have power and you don't have money, you have no control. And that's a real fear to them, is to lose control. Thank you so much, Wesley Morris. We are definitely living in the sign of the times. Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much for that first time you have super chatted here on the channel. I really wish YouTube gave me more than a little like heart emoji, something that I can throw on there.
Doge, this is how he spoke about Doge.
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X and to the Doge website. So all of our actions are maximally transparent.
You hear him there. We post our actions. All of our actions are maximally transparent. Does Elon Musk know he's not in charge of Doge?
Again, the president runs the government, then the president appoints advisors, including Elon, including myself, including all the other staff here at the White House, and then those staff in turn execute the president's commands and directions to all the agencies of the federal government. This is how democracy works, something that we treasure in America. The whole American people go to the ballot box, they elect the president appoints staff, the staff that administer his orders and directives across the whole U.S. government.
Okay, Stephen, I get that, but this is important because we want to talk about who's making the decisions here. There were 300 employees, the National Nuclear Security Administration, you know about this. They were fired.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and at this day and age, who isn't a tool? They're either a tool for the right, a tool for the left. What I'm most concerned with is what's going to happen down the middle. Like, what's going to happen to you and me in the next 5 years? Where's our money going to go? Is it going to go back to us, the people? Are we going to actually start having good, positive change inside of this country for our kids, for our future? Or is it going to be more of the same dog and pony show? That's really my concern. And I hope that we really see actual change for us.
They wanted us to try to identify them in such a way that they would qualify for long-term.
Okay, so this is a woman talking about how there was an incentive to get illegal immigrants. Illegal. Don't get me wrong on that. Illegal means you're acting criminally. You're not doing something legally. And whether it's right or wrong, let's not talk about that, because whether it's right or wrong that you go 37 miles an hour in a 35 doesn't stop the cop from being able to give you a ticket. If you miss paying something on your taxes, whether it's right or wrong, doesn't stop the IRS from auditing you. So let's talk about what's actually legal. And these people were here illegally, not legally, acting in a criminal way. And there was an incentivization program to get them on long-term Social Security disability. Hontastic, one, thank you so much. Thank you, Brad and family, especially Zach, who joined the FSS family and put on a good FSS video. Thanks. That video was, I was really proud of him for what he did there and kind of getting people more back to the roots of preparedness with, hey, here's information about staying safe out there, because the streets are going to be the streets for a while longer. Troy's Reviews, thank you. Hey, Brad, thanks for the info. Watching from Australia. Hope everyone has a great day and night. Well, thank you, Troy's, for being here tonight. Scenic. Anyone else think the Tesla truck looks like something Mad Max would drive? Yeah, and I wouldn't take it because I'm not doing any electric vehicles, but, you know, I guess I would, if Elon Musk was like, hey, drive one from Florida to Washington for me, I'd probably do it just for the chance to drive in it. But I would drive a golf cart too. So they want them to identify them for long-term Social Security disability.
Social Security disability. Now,
what?
Yeah. And long-term Social Security disability is for life.
Yeah.
So if they get identified and qualify for long-term Social Security disability, they are as good as set up for life for medical treatment.
That doesn't sound like a refugee to me. Just being honest.
Yeah.
That sounds like somebody who's planning on staying here.
Yeah,
a refugee
right.
stays until the problem's over and then goes home.
Well, that's right. And so
yeah, that's right, Troy.
They instructed us to try to identify, to try to get the client, because once they arrive here, they're now called clients. They're called clients. Yeah,
okay.
Because clients pay.
Sure.
See?
Sure. I'm starting to see where this is leading here.
So they told us that we needed to talk to the client and ask them if they had any headaches, recurring headaches, or any lower back problems. Excuse me, anything that would qualify them for Social Security long-term disability.
Wait. So let me get this straight. Part of the screening is supposed to be, are you sick, maimed, injured, whatever?
Right.
No. Okay, good, you can come in.
Yeah.
You get on the airplane, are you sick, maimed, injured, whatever? Yes. Good, so we can give you disability.
Correct.
What?
Yes.
This is insanity.
Yes, it is insanity.
But in order to get Social Security disability benefits, don't you need a Social Security number?
Well, we were instructed in the meeting that one of the first things we were supposed to do was sign them up for Social Security.
Beautiful. just look at how gravy train they have made this. Look at how they have made it so easy to incentivize a viewer base or a voter base and use replacement therapy. And so replacement therapy is kind of like when a person is trying to give up nicotine cigarettes. And so instead they replace it with chewing gum, right? And even though it's nicotine in the Nicorette gum or whatever, no product advertisements, I don't think the nicotine is good for you. I'm not telling you to do that. But replacement therapy means you're changing something, but kind of getting over what it was before. And so the parties, the political parties in the USA, wanted to keep replacing you and me, the people, with people who would be advantageous in their viewer base and voter base. And so they would then bring these individuals in illegally, get them a Social Security number illegally, and get them locked into something like disability, Social Security, free health care, good food, good place to live, all these other things. But then you, which they wanted to replace you, when you needed to do it, they would say, oh, I'm sorry, that this isn't for you. Or you make too much money, or you don't make enough money, or you didn't jump through these hoops, or you didn't do these things, or why aren't you having more children, or you have too many children. There is every reason for them to deny you, the people of this country, actual aid and help. And it's really sick, and I think that has to change.
Entry or exit wound. There's no entry or exit.
What is he talking about here before I go full on here? Weapons designed to make you feel crazy that can fit in a backpack. When asked if they knew of anyone like these weapons that were able to take out in the past, the answer was yes. This is the Department of Homeland Security Committee on a meeting of Anomalous Health Incidents 2024. Now, guys, I want to remind you that they're preparing right now, already prepared for Donald Trump to be attacked with this type of tool. Elon Musk to be attacked in public with this type of tool. I'm actually kind of surprised that these guys are going out in public because they really shouldn't be with these types of weapons existing. And I don't know if we're going to get to it tonight, and maybe I have it down here. I titled it Scary because it really is scary. Okay, so let's hit this right away. I want you guys to see, this is why I'm surprised that Donald Musk is actually, or Donald Musk, yeah, that's their baby's name. Elon Musk and Donald Trump's baby is Donald Musk. I'm surprised that these guys are actually going out in public.
Trump stuff, it's getting to a point, man. It's getting like somebody is going to have to, preferably someone who's already doing it, so one of y'all. But somebody's going to have to just throw their life away on this one.
So what this joke is telling anyone who watches, and this is the type of medically insane programming that is happening in media right now. This joke is saying somebody out there, and this is scary. He's telling whoever's watching that maybe you're the one. He's like, you remember the Matrix movie where they were like, you're the one, Neo? Everyone was looking for the one. He's telling whoever's watching that maybe you're the one. And he says it to throw your life away, to go whoosh, someone like Donald Trump, someone like Elon Musk. What he's saying is so freaking startling, and this is what I started telling you about. This is what's going to happen.
Listen, all the Elon Trump stuff, it's getting to a point, man. It's getting like somebody is going to have to, preferably someone who's already doing it, so one of y'all. But somebody's going to have to just throw their life away on this one, just kind of take one for the team, just somebody has got to just, kind of get in there. And go
you know what we call that in other religions and other cultures? That's extremist martyring, extremist martyrism, where there's an incentivization in social behavior, so between people, to throw their life away at a pretending of a greater good. This is extreme behavior. And so really watch out because hey, Jordan, glad to see you here tonight. You don't know if a guy like this is going to be in your city. Is it at your Walmart while you're shopping there with your kids where they decide to throw their life away for the greater good? Is it your kid's school? Is it while you're walking your dog down the street where they're like, oh, I saw a Trump sticker. I saw a Biden sticker on this guy's car. Let me just whip it over and throw my life away for the greater good. This is the kind of crazy that's out there.
All the Elon Trump stuff, it's getting to a point, man. It's getting like somebody is going to have to, preferably someone who's already doing it, so one of y'all. but somebody's gonna have to just throw their life away on this one. You know, just kind of take one for the team. You know, just somebody has got to just kind of get in there and go make history. You know who you are.
Listen to him. You know who you are. That's what he says.
And do your duty. You know.
Do your duty.
That.
Listen to that. That is crazy.
Know who you are. So just buck up and do your duty. You know. Listen.
So, and then you have on top of that the Homeland Security Committee back in 2024 saying that there are weapons that are in existence right now that have no entry wound, have no exit wound.
How they're designed is to.
So they've got music playing in the background. I've got to read it to you because the music will get tagged. They're supposed to make people feel like they're imagining things. Low intensity, low duration. It hits the target. They show up with symptoms. They pass away from their ailments. So they're saying that these types of things exist right now, and they've already hurt people. So guys, watch out, because you don't know when your city's going to be the one. Zelensky, this is according to Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister. He says Zelensky says that Russia will use tactical nukes. But Zelensky says many things. It depends on what he drinks, what he smokes, or how much that booger sugar is rocking. For anybody who doesn't know the term booger sugar, let's ask Google, what is booger sugar? And I don't condone any sort of behavior. It's a compound. It's cocaine. For anybody who doesn't know.
Russia plans to use tactical nuclear weapons.
He says many things. Depends on what he drinks or what he smokes. He says many things.
So there's Lavrov telling you out in the open that Zelensky's scared, and his last-ditch effort is to either false flag some sort of event in Ukraine, or an I told you so event. So an I told you so event could be something like where Ukraine facilitates a European country getting hit with an act of terror. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. This is how this type of thing in the future could play out. And so then it would be like, aha, I told you so. Look what Russia did to you. Now give me your money so that I can keep fighting Russia. And that's kind of the plan here. Here's RFK Jr. investigating chronic disease.
President Trump signed an executive order to establish the MAHA Commission to study what has caused the precipitous decline in American health over the past 2 generations. So we will convene representatives of all viewpoints to study the causes for the drastic rise in chronic disease. Some of the possible factors we will investigate were formerly taboo or insufficiently scrutinized. The childhood vaccine schedule, electromagnetic radiation.
Electromagnetic radiation. Now, they have told you for a long time a lot of duality. I don't know if you, like I grew up in an age where at my youth, young youth, I didn't have a cell phone, right? And so when this cell phone started becoming popular, and it was like a brick, like it was like this. Let me get a flashlight here. This was about the size of the first cell phone, maybe even a little bigger, but it was definitely wider, and it had a big antenna. And so when these first started coming out, there were scientists out there who were like, hey, that's dangerous because you're getting some illegal stuff, or not illegal, but invisible things that are going into your brain. And then they had the industry that wanted the advancement of this type of technology. The industry came in and shut it down, and they were like, we'll pay whatever politicians we have to get them to say there's nothing wrong with it. And then there were very few studies out there that said, hey, when you put cell phones around plant life, they don't thrive. When you can use them to see through walls. You can use all the radiation coming off your Wi-Fi transmission. Living too close to EMF signals from power lines is kind of bad for you. Very minimal amounts of information would come out, but massive amounts saying, oh no, everything's okay. Paid for by a problem. And so here's RFK Jr. saying, well, now it's time that we start investigating that.
Insufficiently scrutinized. The childhood vaccine schedule, electromagnetic radiation, glyphosate, other pesticides, ultra-processed foods, artificial food additives, SSRI and other psychiatric drugs,
I love how, I have coffee right here, right? And so inside of my coffee, if you were to put poison in it and an antidote in it, would you drink it? You'd have to be real darn confident that you mixed it well enough, that you let it sit long enough, that you did all of these things. I would not drink this coffee if I put poison in it and then an antidote. I'd be like, no, that's okay. I'm going to brew a new cup. But that's how we get all of our seed oils. That's how we get all of our ultra-processed foods. That's the 20, 30% of the ingredients in the food that we feed our society is poison that is on a level that they say, oh, it's not detectable. We took it all out. Like the seed oil poisons that they put in there, like the glyphosate, like the atrazine, like the phenylalanine, like all of these other poisons. We're like, oh no, it's okay in these tiny little amounts. Well, no, I would not drink this if I had poison that was under detectable amounts, or the antidote was also in here. And so that's really where we're at as a society. And RFK Jr. hopefully turns that around.
SSRI and other psychiatric drugs, PFAs, PFOAs, microplastics, nothing is going to be
China balloons, that's right. Toxic fog.
Whatever belief or suspicion I have expressed in the past, I'm willing to subject them all to the scrutiny of unbiased science. That is going to be our template, unbiased science. That's something that will make us all proud of this agency and of our role in restoring American health. Let's commission research that will satisfy all the stakeholders once and for all. Let's use protocols that we all agree on in advance and not alter the outcomes of studies when they're halfway through and that they look inconvenient. Let's all depoliticize these issues and reestablish a common ground for action and renew the search for existential truth with no political impediments and no preconceptions.
I wonder if, RFK Jr., he was seen on an airplane taking that methylene blue, right? And so methylene blue is a kind of like, it's an old tech, maybe homeopathic, if that's the right term, or maybe just more natural, not natural because it's not natural. So it's an alternative medicine. He was seen putting it into his drink on an airplane. I wonder if that has anything to do with his spasmodic throat thing, because somebody said it. I'm sure it is frustrating for him to talk, especially at length. So NASA, right? Every single week, they're like, our chances of getting hit by that asteroid are getting bigger. I wonder if they know that we're about to take a huge hit from an asteroid. Now it's 3.1%. That's a rising chance. It started at like 1 point something, then it was like 2.1, then it was 2.3, then it was 2.4. So what common events have a 3.1% chance of happening any given day? We did this little experiment recently, and as the chance goes up, I think we should keep running the chances. So 3.1% chance on any given day, you might have a light rain. Well, how many times do you have a light rain? Traffic incidents, there's about a 3.1% chance that you'll witness or be involved in a minor traffic incident on any given day. Health event. For an average person, there might be a 3.1% chance of a mild headache or something like an exposure to illness. Random acts. If you consider the randomness of human behavior, there might be a 3.1% chance of a stranger giving you a compliment or you finding a small amount of money, like a nickel on the street. Can you imagine that our chance of getting rocked by an asteroid in 8 years is as good as my chance of going and finding a nickel tomorrow on the street? That's freaking crazy. But it makes sense because we have all these politicians who really don't care about the future. And they act as if the future doesn't matter. Is that because America is going to get rocked by a freaking asteroid in 8 years? Jeez. Definitely something to think about. NASA keeps increasing their chances. Guys, I want to thank you for being here tonight. We're not over yet. but I want to thank you for spending the night with us. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Please hit that bell alert. That part's really important. It looks YouTube bell icon. It looks like this, and we only get like 5% of our views from people who are checking their bell icon. And you got to click it and make it say all so that you get alerted to the live shows and the regular daily broadcasts, things like that. So please do that for us and make sure that you're a part of our community here. So the chances are increasing that we are going to get hit by a freaking asteroid in just a couple of years. What will you do between now and then? For me, I'll just do what I'm doing today. I'll try to ensure that tomorrow I don't have a cataclysmic personal SHTF, and I will, spend time with my family, loving the day. So here's them calling for a revolution. Take out the president.
This is the city of revolutionaries from the American Revolution to create checks and balances in the United States Constitution so that we did not have a dictator, a king, the way those colonists were living under it. And they thought all along Massachusetts Avenue, all coming out, the Minutemen and women to say.
Like how he had to throw that women in there because he's holding up a loudspeaker that says feminist on it. So the Minutemen, and women, sorry, didn't want to offend anyone there.
No.
There weren't any minute women. Come on.
No taxation without representation. We want to have a balance. We cannot have
I love it. You gotta love what people do.
The American Revolution started here. The revolution of abolitionism started here. The revolution of the suffragette movement started here. The revolution.
Go ahead, throw some other things you can pretend to get behind.
Same-sex marriage started here. The revolution against the war in Vietnam started here. The revolution against Donald Trump and Elon Musk, it starts here in Boston.
Man, I don't know, but I think the next couple of weeks, maybe the next couple of months, are going to be a little bit scurry in the streets. All right, so here's a guy really telling you how it is with the cartel and the military.
So basically, the cartel is saying that the U.S. military ain't as bad as they think, and they better think twice before they mess with them. And they want every bit of the smoke that the United States military think they could bring. So the Department of Homeland Security reported that the cartel said they are ready for anything that the United States military is willing to bring. They're not scared. And I don't know where they're getting this confidence from, but apparently they don't know the United States military has been waiting for this day forever. The United States military has surveillance. They've been watching, and they've just been waiting for this time to come. You have to understand, all of the special forces, all of the different teams, all of the high-tech machinery. This might not be a good fight to fight for the cartel, if you understand what I'm saying. United States military, of course, is one of the most feared and respected militaries in the world. They're not going to go away that easy.
At least they used to be. Hopefully one day we get that strength back that we used to have, the presence of the U.S. military and the morality that we used to have. Can you guys believe that during the World War, they would take breaks to not kill each other? And there would be actual rules to war, and there was rules to all these things. Now, that was in an age where you knew you were fighting for a king or a queen or some land. Some people were just fighting for themselves and their own land or their kids not to get hurt, whatever. But there were rules of engagement. And now, there really aren't those rules. So imagine if we brought back some rules to warfare. So hopefully, the cartels figure out a little bit of what's happening because they really are. Somebody said, I'm going to run up all my credit cards.
Jr., Secretary of Health and Human Services, in his book, he accused you and Dr. Tony Fauci of a historic coup d'etat against Western democracy. And all the things from vaccines to COVID to pandemic that you've been interested in, how is this going to affect your ability to do what you've been doing at the Gates Foundation?
Well, the Gates Foundation is going to work with the government. The NIH is the best medical research organization in the world, just like USAID is the best aid organization. And we've done
that didn't age too well, did it? At whatever point Bill Gates made this particular interview, saying that USAID is the best aid organization, that obviously didn't age well, Bill.
A lot with them. The pipeline of innovations that I got President Trump enthused about, including things like eventually having a gene edit for an HIV cure. And so that'll be under Robert Kennedy. So, I'm going to go meet with him and explain, why.
Has he agreed to meet with you?
I think it's very, very likely that we'll get a meeting late this month. I hope so. I'll be reaching out to him.
So they're talking about meeting between Bill Gates and RFK Jr. probably to be like, hey, we're going to back off of this craziness we've been doing, but keep giving the money. Keep giving us that old cash flow from the U.S. taxpayer. So Kash Patel, right? He's reportedly advancing, going to make some changes in his new position. We're definitely going to see all of government experience some change here soon. I think that this has been one of the largest power shifts in government that I have ever witnessed in American government, at least recent American government. This is a very big power shift because what they're doing right now is really making change that has no precedent. And so a lot of the politicians who are in it for life, and I actually have a person here on one of these videos who's talking about that federal work has always been a generally understood position of you get in, you're there for life. There's basically nothing they can do. It's like a tenure position as a professor. Really nothing they can do to fire you unless you really, really screw up. And as long as you played within the corrupt little morally obligatory rules that they had set, you were able to prosper. You were able to take as much taxpayer money as you could make sense of. Well, now we're starting to see a little bit of a calling to order there. So hopefully we see that kind of thing continue. Let's see what else we got here.
And it's not a Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Green Party thing. It's a swamp monster thing. They don't care about labels. They care about the revolving door. And what they do is they establish leadership positions, and the revolving door assists them outside of government to get their golden parachutes for $10 million, guys like Mark Esper. And then people like Gina Haspel, Chris Wray, and Rod Rosenstein all partner together to work together after their time in government. And what they do is they just continue that spin of the door and make sure that only their friends get in at the expense of the department and agencies they're supposed to be running for the American people. But basically, they run it to service their egos and their bank accounts.
Very true. Service their egos and their bank accounts. That's what we always talk about here on this channel, that it really is about money. Money and power. And so the power is their ego, as he says it, and the bank account is the money. Here's Zelensky. Listen to his words.
Give us 250 billions, which are here in Europe, frozen Russian assets. No answer. American money, good. Give us 250 billions.
Give us $250 billion. What does Zelensky think is actually going on here? Just give us $250 billion. It's Russia's money. Just go ahead and give it to us. I bet he is tweaking as much as any gas station tweaker.
And given your concerns about corruption, you said that if there were any conflicts of interest with Elon Musk, you wouldn't let him anywhere near it.
That's right.
Doge and SpaceX employees are now working directly at the Federal Aviation Administration and the Defense Department, agencies that have billions of dollars in contracts with Musk's companies or that directly regulate his companies. How is that not a conflict of interest?
Well, I mean, I'm just hearing about it, and if there is, and he told me before I told him, but obviously I will not let there be any conflict of interest. He's done an amazing job. They've revealed, in fact, he's going to be on tonight, a big show called Sean Hannity at 9 o'clock, and he's on and I'm on, and we talk about a lot of different things. And any conflicts, I told Elon, any conflicts, you can't have anything to do with that. So anything to do with possibly even space, we won't let Elon partake in that.
Look at that. Some reported accountability. Now, does the chain of command follow all the way through? Do we see preferential treatment? That's yet to be seen. I'm not going to toe a Trump line. I'm not going to toe a Elon Musk line. I'm not going to toe a Democrat line or a Republican line. We need to see what's actually happening here for the people.
In the last couple of minutes, you may remember a story over the weekend about a British couple, Craig and Lindsay Foreman, who had been detained in Iran. Well, in the last couple of minutes, we're hearing from the Reuters news agency via an Iranian news agency that those British nationals have been charged with espionage. So that is that Craig and Lindsay Foreman, who were on a motorbike trip to Australia, part of a global kind of trip, holiday, if you like, were detained in Iran. They have now been charged.
Now, I wonder, are they really Mr. and Mrs. Smith? Because Iran knows what's up. And they get given little snippets from other countries like Russia, like China, like, hey, this person is actually operating as a spy. And so they swoop down and take them. Was this British couple that was just reported to be held in Iran under espionage or spy charges? Were they actually a spy, or is Iran just trying to use them as a bargaining chip?
Message for Ukrainians who, after 3 years of fighting, might feel betrayed or disappointed at not having a seat at these initial talks in Saudi Arabia?
Well, I think I'm really disappointed in what's happened. I've been watching this for 3 years. It's a war that never happened if I was president, and I've been watching these people being killed at levels that you've rarely seen, not even close, since the Second World War. And I'm very disappointed. I hear that they're upset about not having a seat. Well, they've had a seat for 3 years, and a long time before that. This could have been settled very easily. Just a half-baked negotiator could have settled this years ago, without the loss of much land, very little land, without the loss of any lives, and without the loss of cities that are just laying on their sides. You have those magnificent golden domes that are shattered, will never be replaced. You can't replace them. 1,000-year-old domes that are so beautiful. You can't replace that. The whole civilization has changed because of what. So when they're worried about not being seated, you mean somebody that should have gone in and
fixed it from the beginning. That's what he's saying. Don't worry about not having a seat at the negotiating table to stop the U.S. taxpayer from funding your never-ending war with Russia. No, instead, you should have been trying to fix it before. But they wanted this to continue forever, guys. This was supposed to be a Israel-Iran deal where it was just never-ending. Oh, we need more American money, or else the big bad Russian wolf is going to come next for you, Poland. It's going to come next for you, Germany. It's going to come next for you. No matter how many Ukrainian kids, their life, no matter how many of your mercenary soldier kids went over there and lost theirs, they didn't care. Just keep this bank rolling. Here's 2022. Russian President Vladimir Putin. Is this actually what's happening? He told the world that the West is run by Satan. Speaking of the American government at the time. I think we all have seen some of that. Okay, so this is what's happening in our country. We're spending $40 million to teach people how to run businesses in places like Malaysia, Madagascar. We're sending hundreds of millions of dollars over to other countries so that they can develop cohorts of people who operate well together. Basically, we're running fraud operations. But here in this country, we have this type of behavior where this guy is literally letting this metal, this hot metal, spark down onto your food without any sort of cover.
That's kidding, right?
Homeboy, who's not getting paid enough to do this, I'm sure, but he does have some new kicks, is just letting the sparks come right down on your food. Now, his foreman, or whatever he's called in this position, wants to not talk about it at all. He looks like maybe he was on a Theo Vaughn video that I've seen before.
Huh?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, no. What happened?
Sorry?
What happened?
Nothing happened.
You're working in here with not covering the food, cutting metal on top of the food?
Nobody even sees a problem with it because they don't care. They're not going to eat a vegetable. What kind of vegetable grows inside of a nasty McDonald's burger? They don't care. So the video is old. Doesn't matter how old it is. Let's look at what's actually happened in our world.
No, I asked you a question. Is that what you did?
No, not at all.
I have it on video. So
Nothing but evasion and change. Use a trap.
Not see the inequity in those placed here illegally, having taxpayers support a plane ticket.
This is the volume's too low on this. If I can't hear it, I know that you guys probably can't.
Hi, I just wanted to comment on a story that I think I needed to share with you, and I'm sure you probably feel the same way that I do. But our U.S. military is taking about $460 per pay period out of the checks of most soldiers that live in barracks. This is what they call a BAS allowance that pays for food. Now, they just found in an audit, military.com found this out, that of all of the bases, that very little of the money is actually going to feed soldiers or to have food available to them. Now, you have a soldier that makes $30,000 a year, and they're taking $461 a month out of their paychecks to pay for food, but the food is not there. As a matter of fact, at Fort Stewart in Georgia, they collected $17 million from soldiers last year. And of that $17 million, only $2.1 million was spent on food. Now, the problem is
they took in
$17
million, and only $2 million was spent on food. So where did the rest of that go?
Inspector General audit last year that showed over an 8-year period, the Social Security Administration made almost $72 billion in improper payments, a little less than 1% of payments in that time period. Now, the report also says that most of these improper payments were overpayments, not payments to deceased people or people who didn't qualify to receive.
Because they didn't even know about those people until Elon Musk came in and said, what about all these checks and balances? Instead, they admitted that $72 billion was overpaid. We have a huge problem.
These payments at the same time, Jose, this effort by DOJ is to go through this agency like every other and try to weed out waste and fraud.
Kind of fear-mongering doesn't help anybody, but it tells me that people are worried that that they're part of the waste, fraud, and abuse.
And you think there's going to be a ton more?
I think when I came in, we all think there's waste, there's abuse. I think there may be some real fraud here, Brett. This kind of fear-mongering doesn't help anybody, but it tells me that people are worried that...
People are very worried in government right now.
We have another executive order that President Trump signed relating to independent agencies. This executive order would establish important oversight functions in the Office of Management and Budget and its subsidiary office, OIRA, supervising independent agencies and many of their actions, and also reestablishes the longstanding norm that only the President or the Attorney General can speak for the United States when stating an opinion as to what the law is.
Now that's interesting, right?
Thank you very much, Will. That was the primary purpose of this conference.
Lastly, we have another executive order.
So he's saying that only the president or the attorney general can speak for what the law is in regard to this. This is obviously clipped, and this guy who's posting this is trying to, make it sound like something it isn't. He says they're trying to start a constitutional crisis, which is silly. The meaning of what they were saying is different, but don't let me say something wrong here. I'm telling you, we have to watch the end of the road. Because, yes, it looks like we're on the right road. And I don't know about you, but I grew up in a, what were those little, not crossword puzzles, what were those little maps that you would start at one end and you go through the little tunnels and stuff, and you might end up at a dead end. You might end up, at some other part of it. They were like children's coloring book maps. This is where we're at. We don't know if the road we're on that looks like the right one is a dead end. We don't know if we're about to get screwed. We don't know if there is going to be a maze. That's right. We don't know if there is going to be gold in Fort Knox. We don't know if the IRS audits are going to start to use AI to come harder after you. We don't know if the rules and the laws that they're putting into place right now is going to get worse for you and me. We don't know if the next president will say, hey, preppers are the bad guys. Let's get them in Guantanamo. We literally don't know what's going to happen next. And so we're just watching patiently, hoping that we as Americans can get through this. Because if we can't even get through the inflation that's about to come as a country, then we're going to be really screwed. And I know a lot of people for the last year have been struggling worse than I could ever imagine. They have been struggling so much that I don't think they can take a little bit more. And they're going to have to see some more inflation this year. They're going to have to see the price of their food go up. Their price of their rent is going to go up. Look at the tariffs. The tariff prices are going to send metal up. We're going to see a lot of big problems. But if we can get through to the end, then I think we'll be okay. So guys, every day we are bringing you headlines from America and from around the world. We are hopeful that we make it through this as a country, and we're prepared for the worst if we don't. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here with us tonight. Am I an alien shapeshifter? Now we're asking the right questions, right? Let's see. If I was an alien shapeshifter, hold on. Could I eat this Flintstone vitamin? I think not. Could I tolerate this whipped tallow hand lotion that my wife expertly made? I think not. Now, she used beef tallow here. Let me tell you something. With her version, which I can see right there, she put in essential oils. And in her version, it smells really good. In my version, it smells kind of like a barn that just got rained on, and you decided to go sleep with one of the cows. But I don't mind it one bit, because I'd rather put this on me than this on me, because this is what I used to use. Now, it's petroleum. A lot of the guys who have done petroleum for a long time, they haven't had any problem with it. But it's also glycerin, stearic acid, palminate, whatever that is, dimethicone, whatever that is, mineral oil, which that's okay, phoenix alcohol, acrylate, cross-polymer. I'm sure that's real good. And let's face it, whatever you put on your skin does go into your skin. So I'll take the beef tallow, which an alien could not do. Thank you very much. Matthew, thank you so much. Matthew Camden. Yep, U.S. Army is not alone. In the Canadian Army, the soldier pays for the food and even in the barrack maintenance. The irony, 90% of the barrack maintenance is made by the soldiers. There's fraud everywhere. You know, that I don't think is going to change too much. They're going to keep pushing our soldiers way too far. Watch dimming. Your skin is an organ. That's right. Anything you put on your skin will go into your body. It definitely happens at different levels. It's capable of doing different things. But if you don't think so, there are a couple of thought experiments that a person could use. And in fact, I think that we should do a little Grok exercise before we head out tonight. Ask Grok anything. What kind of safe at-home experiment could a person use or perform to see that anything that they put onto their skin can go into their body? Thank you so much, ALPC, for the $10 Canadian Super Chat. Really appreciate it. Let me throw all of that YouTube has at my disposal here, which is just some like thumbs ups and other emojis. Okay, here's a simple at-home experiment demonstrating how substances applied to the skin can penetrate the body. Materials needed: a clove of garlic, an adhesive bandage or medical tape, a stopwatch or a timer. The procedure: you peel the clove of garlic. You cut it in half or thin slices, exposing the surface and the compound called allicin. The application: you place a piece of garlic on the skin of your foot, preferably the sole or heel, where the skin is thicker but still permeable. You secure it with a bandage. You wait 2 to 4 hours. They say overnight, but if you're sensitive, 2 to 4 hours. After removing the garlic, check if you can smell the garlic on your breath or smell it in your sweat. That shows you that garlic is a volatile component, a strong odor. When applied to the skin, it's absorbed, metabolized, and then exhaled and excreted through your sweat glands. So remember that next time that you're putting on something like this, which I use. Don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on anyone. We're all at different levels of our own journeys and adventures towards a better life. But now, thanks to my wife, I'm using this. And how do you make it? Well, you can buy a whole bunch of, thanks, I type fast. You can buy a whole bunch of beef tallow, organic, grass-fed beef tallow for like $20. It's like 7 pounds of it on Amazon, if you've got room in your refrigerator. And then you take that beef tallow, and actually we're doing a card on it this month. So for anybody who is signed up at the membership level for $14.99, you're going to get these cards in the mail if you signed up this month. You melt it down, and then you start to let it cool. And once it's melted down and cooled, then you use a whisk or a powered whisk, and you whisk in air. And that's what takes it from a liquid into like this, where it becomes a, an air. It looks like Cool Whip, and it makes me want to eat it. But it's not Cool Whip. It's not fresh icing. It's definitely giving living in a barn smells to it. But Kelly knows what it is, and so when I come to her smelling like I live in a barn and played with the cows, well, either she's weird or she just knows that we're trying to be healthier. Thank you guys for being here with us. Doria Flavin, $5. Thank you, Brad, and the FSS family. Thank you guys so much for all of the support that you have for me and my family. It's really just us, me, my wife, and our oldest son. You can add essential oils. Let me get out of camera for a quick second. This is my placeholder. So here's Kelly's, right? And right on the front, let me see, whipped tallow with milk and coffee essential oils. Now, hers smells like I just walked into a Yankee Candle of old. What's a whisk? So a whisk is it's something that you use in baking. One of these things. Now, you can either do it like a fire bow drill and use it between your hands. Hey, Troy, good to see you. Good. Have a good night tonight, man. Or you can get like a powered beater, something like that. And add in your essential oils, let it cool, and you've got yourself something that's not going to put, I didn't even get through the ingredient list, Cedral Beauty Spermum Parkey butter in it, dicafferol ether, triethylamine, disodium EDTA, ceramide AMP. It's not going to put any of that into your body. Might be a little better for us. Thank you guys for being here with us tonight. We love you lots. We really appreciate everything that you do for us, and the fact that we're all watching each one of these events unfold together. I hope we all make it through it as not just as a country in the USA, but all of our friends and family across seas. I hope we all make it through what's coming. From my family to yours,